Well, hey friends and neighbors, this is Chuck out at Sheridan Park Farms. Welcome back to the farm. We've got a little bit of a different thing going on today. We're in the kitchen with you know who. And it is the day before Thanksgiving, and we're getting ready to brine a turkey. I'm going to work really hard to get this video out sometime today for folks that are looking for brining recipes. But we're going to show you exactly what Sandra does to brine a turkey, the ingredients that goes into it, how we set the brine bucket up, how the turkey goes in, the whole deal. I'm going to post down below in the description. I will post the recipe and instructions for how to do this so you can go back and reference it later. Or you can just pull a video up on your phone, set it on your stove, and watch it there. So hang out with us for a little bit. Let's get a brine recipe together. Let's get a turkey in the drink. And this is not one of those old cheap butterball turkeys that you see at the store. This is one of our turkeys. So hang out with us for a little bit and let's get this thing going. What you got going on there, Whistle Britches?
We're making a brine.
All right.
So I've got all my ingredients out here.
That looks like a lot.
Except for the water. It's not really. It's actually not a lot at all. So the first thing we're going to put in the pot is our apple cider and our water. And so in the pot, I'm doing 3 cups of apple cider.
Now this is just not apple cider vinegar, apple cider.
Apple cider.
Sweet cider. Could you use hard cider?
Why would you? You're wasting the alcohol. I mean, you drink that while you're making the brine.
Well, then there's that.
And so since the recipe calls for, the recipe calls for 3 cups of apple cider, 2 gallons of water, a cup of salt, 2 cups of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of whole black peppercorns, 5 bay leaves, and 3 cut up oranges. So since this recipe calls for 2 gallons of water, and I definitely don't have a 2-gallon pot here, I'm going to put a half gallon of water in this pot to make sure I get all my salt and sugar melted, and then we'll add the water, the cold water or ice, into our bucket to get everything cooled down for our turkey. Because you don't want to put a cold turkey into a hot brine.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got our cider. Now we're going to do our water. I'm just doing cold tap water here. And this is actually, if you've watched any of our videos, you know this is spring water that comes from about a half mile up in the hollow where we live.
You can say holler.
So there's 1 quart. And there's 2.
Man, that's a full pot already. Can you get the rest of it in there?
I think so. And then, so the next thing we're going to do is the sugar, the brown sugar. And it calls for 2 cups. So that's really close to 1.
Y'all, I got to tell you a little secret on Sandra here. She cannot cook the same thing twice exactly ever. And the reason is, for that statement she just made, that looks like about a cup. So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe some more of something else. And it's never the same. It's never the same. But it's
never bad either.
No, I didn't say it was bad, but it's just never the same.
Somebody forgot to hit the record button.
Good Lord. So
I don't know how far we got, but we've put our cup of salt in, and we've put in 3 tablespoons of black peppercorns and 5 or so bay leaves.
All right.
And so my sister was fixing a dish one night, and it was a recipe that I had given her, and at the end of it had bay leaves in it. And at the end of the recipe, you know, it has the tips and tricks, and it said, remove bay leaves at the end. And when we went to eat supper with her, she was talking about how hard it was to get those bay leaves out by the tips of the leaves.
He was trying to get them out by the end of the bay leaf. Yeah.
Oh, so now we're going to do 5 cloves worth of garlic.
And you're just using minced garlic.
Yeah, I'm just using minced garlic because it's cheap and it's extremely easy.
That stuff is easy.
We're so busy around here, I don't have time to grow garlic and do my own.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. All right, so the last ingredient for the brine is 3 cut up oranges. So that's what I'm going to do now. So you use the whole orange, not just the.
You don't have to peel it.
Don't have to peel it. You don't have to make sure you don't get the pith. You just use the whole orange.
Because we're not eating any of this. This is all just this is for flavoring and.
This is for flavoring. That's all this is for. Yeah. And this is just barely going to fit in this pot.
You're right on the edge. Look at that. Son of a gun. All right. So what's the purpose in brine? Why do people brine turkey? Why would you even do that?
So, for a store-bought turkey, you brine for juiciness, and that's why they're injected with all the chemicals and the salts and everything to try to keep them juicy. For our turkey, the reason we're doing this is just for flavor. I like this flavor. Now, if you would just want a straight turkey flavor, then don't do this. If you've got a farm-raised turkey, you don't need to do this for juiciness.
It does add a little something to the turkeys. We do these every year, and it really does add it adds a lot of flavor. I mean, our turkeys have got a lot of flavor to start with, but this just kind of pushes it over the top, makes for a really, really nice bird, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Now, just a regular turkey, if it wasn't Thanksgiving, like our ground turkey, the only thing I put in it is salt and pepper when we're cooking it. I don't put anything on our turkeys unless it's Thanksgiving. That's the only time I do this.
Okay. How long does this need to go? What's happening here?
So this is just warming up until the salt and the sugar melt. That's all. And then we're going to take this and dump it into our brining bucket. And I tell all of my customers, you can brine it or you cannot brine it. Either way you want to do it. Because this turkey has a lot of flavor just straight out of the package.
Yeah.
And the other thing I need to say is to all of our customers that have bought a turkey, if I didn't tell you in person, I wanted to remind everybody that this bird will cook in half the time of a store-bought turkey.
Yeah.
And the reason being is it's not been injected with any chemicals.
With a bunch of crap.
So
what is it we inject these with?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing. But big bunch of nothing.
Big bunch of nothing.
That's why they're so expensive, is because we don't put a bunch of stuff in.
Don't do anything to them. That's why they're expensive.
Yeah. We scald them, pluck them, put them in a bag, and we take the innards out and put them in the freezer. All right, so what you going to do with it?
So I'm going to take it out of I'm going to wash this bucket first.
Yeah, we got a bucket here.
So this is my brining bucket, and it is a food-safe, food-grade bucket. And I tell all the guys that they can have any bucket they want on this farm, except for these two white buckets. These are mine. These are my buckets for stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wash this bucket first.
All right.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is measure out some ice. Because my brine here is hot, where I was melting the sugar and the salt into it. And you don't want to put a cold turkey into a hot brine. Everything needs to be cool. So what I'm going to do is, the recipe, like we said, calls for 3 gallons of water. And there's a half a gallon in the pot. So I'm going to put 1.5 gallons worth of ice in this bucket. And 1.5 gallons of ice is 11.5 pounds. So we're going to use our market scale here. And 0. And we're shooting for about 11.5. So there's 4. Another 4.
Close enough for government work, right?
Close enough. Everything's melted on the bottom. Nothing's sticky.
Man, that smells. Wish we had smell-o-vision. Daggone, it smells good.
Bird out of the bag. And our turkeys come with the heart, liver, and neck. I didn't do the gizzards this year because I just ran out of time. So we've got everything but the gizzard.
Now, this was one of the biggest birds we had, ain't it?
This is the biggest bird.
This was the biggest bird, yeah. A little over 23 pounds, was it?
Yep.
Nice.
And then I'm just going to drain it with any water.
Got a little water in it. I didn't have much in it, did it? That's another thing you got to be careful about is paying for water weight.
Yep.
You know?
All right, we're going in the bucket.
Now, if somebody don't have a fancy brining bucket like what you've got, what can they use?
Personally, I would use a Tractor Supply or Lowe's bucket.
just a plain bucket from a big box store.
I would.
Yeah.
But, I mean.
And then they make those fancy brine buckets
too. They make those brine buckets where so you see how this bird is out of the brine just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add just a little more water, but the tail is going to end up sticking out of the water.
Right.
And those brine buckets have a plate in them that you can push down into the bucket and lock it down to make sure everything is in the
water. Holds it under the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to put just a little more water in this. Won't hurt a thing.
And that's dang near perfect, ain't it?
I think that'll be just fine right there.
All right. Now, how long does it need to sit?
24 hours in the brine.
And then cooking tips for a post-brine turkey, anything folks need to think about? Or
not, it depends on how you want to do it. Baking, and this brine works for any way you want to do it. Baking, frying, smoking, whatever you want to do. I would just make sure, like we were talking before, it cooks quicker, so I would make sure to cook to temperature instead of time. And what that means is you want to put a thermometer in the deepest part of the breast of that turkey and make sure that it reads 165 degrees, and then you'll know it's ready.
Nice.
That's it.
All right. Good deal. All right, there it is. Saunders brining recipe, how we do it, why we do it, all the ins and outs, and then a couple of little tips and tricks that you might want to think about. So I know we're posting this kind of late for Thanksgiving this year, but if you're seeing this in future years, hopefully it's useful to you and you'll have a really tasty Thanksgiving turkey for your family. So like we always say, please keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families. Hope you have a good Thanksgiving season, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.